Welcome to Stories by the Fire. I'm Wildfire, and today we'll be reading Sweetest Thing on This Side of Hell. Before we settle in with our story, remember to like and subscribe for my algorithm, for your algorithm, and to keep me encouraged. That being said, grab your comfort beverage if you can. Mine is actually water today, good on me, and enjoy the story. Sweetest Thing on This Side of Hell is a My Hero Academia fic by The Moon is Dead, and is part of a series called To Be Your Lonely Neighbor. This is a multi-ship fic and is rated for teen audiences. Standard operating procedure on this channel means I'll be censoring language to a certain extent, as demanded by certain characters, with the author's blessing, of course. Neither I nor the author owns My Hero Academia or its characters. Summary. Before Touya can retort, the door is thrown open, startling all of them into action. Sup, losers? Birdie's out, so I'm... The rabbit hero, Miruko, cuts herself off, grinning. Ooh, guests! Are these your daylight friends? I guess it doesn't matter. No one can really bring you out in the daylight, Frankenstein, so... Yes. You're so witty, Rumi. Get to the point. Dabi drawls, extinguishing his handful of flames. Grumpy much? I'm just saying. She laughs. At least you're not a complete loser, Dabi. Congrats. Or, Touya's friends raid his home and try to discuss his not relationship with Keigo. There's angry banging on the other side of Touya's door, and it makes Rika jerk in surprise. A voice growls out, "Open up, loser!" Touya relaxes back into his couch, going back to his book. Well, her book, but he's reading it. And he's doing so in order to better help her flesh out her ideas for the essay she's meant to be writing on the text. So she should be applauding his dedication rather than questioning his judgment. Still, though, Rika keeps sipping her tea, but she shifts her grip on the mug so she's prepared, even if not all that willing, to chuck it at an intruder. Maybe Dabi can afford to be relaxed with his powerful flames, but her quirk gives her nothing quite so useful. "You useless sack of crap!" an apparent teenager grumbles as he barges in, keying in the door code. "Charming," Rika notes. "You're Shoto-kun's boyfriend, yeah?" The teen scowls, looking past her to demand of Touya, "Who's this extra?" "Natsu's best friend," he answers mildly, hardly looking up from the pages before him. Rika is a little peeved that he validates this little runt calling her an extra, but it's whatever. "Allegedly. I'm still waiting for them to confess she's been his most dedicated bully for the past 10 years. Rika has to draw the line somewhere. "Allegedly my butt. I'm objectively one of the best things that ever happened to that boy." "Sure," he snorts. "That's why he's spamming my messages about being abandoned in the library while you slack off here, eating your crappy deconstructed musubi. You're dirtying 3 separate bowls because you don't want your food to touch. It's musubi, Riri. So what if she likes to pinch the separate ingredients with her piece of seaweed each time? It's about the presentation, the dedication, and it's her business, so Dabi should mind his own." "You're just looking for something to complain about," she dismisses. "That's an awful lot of nitpicking for somebody who offered to help me with my critical analysis paper." Touya has no rebuttal, so he changes focus. Glancing over at the teen, puttering about in his kitchen, he sets aside the book to grab his phone. "What's up with you, Blasty? Upset show?" He scoffs. "If I made Icy Hot mad, he'd be here, and you'd already be hunting me down." Rika hums. She likes this one. He's so self-aware. "Chikafuji Rika," she introduces herself. "Nice to meet you, Shoto's boyfriend. So, what are you here for?" She lists on her fingers. "Bullying, vibes, or advice?" He's already come back around, looking disdainfully at her spread on the coffee table. Her musubi plates, her sweet iced tea in Touya's largest coffee mug, and her laptop open to her favorite bookstore's catalog of new deliveries instead of her very blank essay outline. He sits cross-legged on the floor across from her, his back to the couch, like Touya, as he sips on the
expensive instant coffee Rika assumes is kept there predominantly for Aizawa-san. The teen demands, "Kind of question is that?" Rika frowns.
Well, what else does Touya have to offer?
Wi-Fi and food, comes the immediate, blunt response. Rika thinks those are additions wholly encompassed by vibes. He's here because Sho's still on a play date with the little heiress. Touya rolls his eyes, but he and Mama Blasty probably got in a fight, so he can't be home and doesn't want to be alone. He shifts his glare towards Touya beside him. You... Rika is uninterested in hurt pride.
Sex man, are you not close to your mom?
They're super close, Touya corrects. That's why they fight all the time. But Blasty knows he's always welcome here. Long as I don't mess up with Shoto, he corrects with a snort. But he relaxes a bit, too. It's at this point that, finally, the brat reciprocates her introduction. Bakugo Katsuki. Extra.
Rika, you little runt.
Bakugo looks her over and decides, Jerry.
This little jerk.
She laughs. Turning to Touya, she admits,
I really like him, BB.
Y'all always find the best little jerks. Jerry, Bakugo repeats. You're tolerable or whatever, but I'm inviting AG over too. Touya, who stopped texting on his phone some time ago, just snorts. No crap. What, like we were gonna entertain you? Shark Boy's already on his way. Pinky's staying with the rest of them, though. Bakugo relaxes further. He huffs. Thanks, Scarface. Guess you're good for something after all. Before Touya can retort, the door is thrown open, startling all of them into action. Sup, losers? Birdie's out, so I'm... The rabbit hero, Miruko, cuts herself off, grinning. Ooh, guests! Are these your daylight friends? I guess it doesn't matter. No one can really bring you out in the daylight, Frankenstein, so... Yes. You're so witty, Rumi. Get to the point. Dabi drawls, extinguishing his handful of flames. Grumpy much? I'm just saying. She laughs. At least you're not a complete loser, Dabi. Congrats.
Ignore him. That was mad impressive.
Miruko just dodged a mug of tea, a book, and Bakugo's quirk, without pausing her chatter. The teen has already pulled out his phone to start texting someone, and Toya's slouching again, so maybe the two of them are used to such feats, but it's all new to Rika. She watches Miruko toss her book back to Touya and praises,
The reflexes of a woman with a prey animal quirk who refuses to be limited are unmatched. That was badass.
You, Miruko points. You're Natsu's lip major bestie, right? I can tell because that was a really wordy way to say I'm hot as heck. You can call me Rumi.
Rika, she provides. And you're Yumimi's girl, so we're basically sisters-in-law already.
Bakugo elbows Touya and asks, Judy Hopps and Jerry aren't already related? Since doing her braids in white, Rika has often been likened to a fatter version of Miruko. But she's quite literally a mouse girl. Being excitedly compared to a super awesome woman solely because of their similar complexion and red-brown eyes isn't really a compliment, but it's hardly the worst thing to happen to her. So it's not that it hurts her feelings, but it is that Dabi's a jerk. He grins. Riri, you put on a lot of muscle. You two really could be twins. But he's a jerk who forgets that they're in similar boats.
For the last time, I'm not going to become Natsu's gym buddy just so he lays off you.
Natsuo runs with Fuyumi, and he has quirkless spars with Shoto, but no one goes to the gym with him. Rika would rather die, and Touya doesn't exercise. The two of them are in a constant cycle of pushing off Natsuo's whining about how lonely he is, and trying to get the other to cave so they don't have to hear it anymore. Looking critically at Touya, Bakugo agrees. Your twiggy self could use some training. I'll give you a routine too, Dobbs, Rumi promises. Scaled down, of course. Touya scowls. Look what you did. There's more of them now. Rika shrugs.
You should have just loved me in all my chubby greatness. Then this wouldn't have to happen. But now you've hurt my feelings. So I won't clean up that mug I broke either.
Flatly, because he never buys into her nonsense, he says, "You weren't gonna clean it up anyways."
Of course not. Rumi's the one who scared us all, so it's her fault and therefore her responsibility.
She reasons, back to eating musubi and scrolling on her laptop. Fair, but hard pass. The hero shrugs. Touya merely snorts, unsurprised. It's all in the hallway, isn't it? Birdie will clean it up. He waves his hand. He better beat Rumi home. He better beat Yumi home. Laughing as she launches herself over the boys' heads to lounge across the couch behind them, Rumi cheers. That's the spirit! Don't forget that Dabi is supposed to be a villain. Shove off. Are you implying that I've been nice? Bakugo doesn't bother to pause his typing as he snorts. Touya, you're the softest villain I've ever met. Nonsense, he denies. He's so addicted to his edgelord perception, poor baby. Villains are just fundamentally better people than you think. Villains and jerks are two separate categories. Rumi shrugs. Ones which overlap considerably.
You happen to be both, for instance.
Rika agrees. I'm a villain and a jerk, but that doesn't mean I don't have manners. Most of the time. He reconsiders, still sounding a little put out. Heck, even the League has better home training than you guys. This makes Bakugo put his phone down, but not for the reason Rika would have guessed. Yo, about the League. Just explain to Spoonbill what's up. Don't wanna. Touya hums, turning the page. Every time someone mentions those jerks, I can see the steam of his overworked brain trying to connect the dots, and it's so annoying. The teen complains. Rika guesses he got the same response from Shoto then. The youngest Todoroki likely has had enough chances to clear up Hawk's misunderstanding. But I think it's kind of funny, though. You would, because you're deranged. Personally, Rika finds Rumi's remark a bit rich, given that she hasn't told her best friend anything either, even though she clearly knows that the League is family. But hey, Rika likes a bit of chaotic energy here and there. Heck, her best friend is Todoroki Natsuo. Keigo's going nuts trying to figure out how they fit into your whole Dabi Touya thing. He's in denial for now, but he's smart enough to figure it out, eventually. Touya expects, unconcerned. Rika coos.
I think it's cute that you believe in him.
I think I just threw up in my mouth, so thanks for that, Riri.
Anytime, Touya.
She giggles. That too. Rumi perks up. You know Chicken Butt doesn't think he's allowed to say your name, right? That's his business. Touya shrugs. Rika pauses.
Bro, you could just tell him.
He could just ask. Bakugo and Touya say in unison. Interesting teenaged echo there, considering he was just arguing for Dabi to outright tell Hawks about the League. But Rika thinks she gets it. Bakugo is well versed in courting a Todoroki, after all. The League is personal, absolutely, but not quite as intimate as a name, especially symbolically. Hawks has to show at least that much initiative if he plans to get anywhere with this stubborn man. Rika shrugs it off. This is their business.
Todoroki boys really do value directness, after all.
Which makes Touya's little games with Keigo all the more interesting. By interesting, Rika thinks Rumi means transparent, like playground pigtails pulling. She can't help but agree. I'm not playing games with him. Touya scoffs. The room audibly disbelieves him.
Do you really believe that?
Last I checked, you're not a shrink, Riri. Stop trying to psychoanalyze me. Rumi grins. You really make it so easy, though. Sighing, Bakugo plays a surprising role as a Dabi apologist for a moment. It's not like he's hiding this. He's not lying. He's just not confessing. But he can't confess to something he's not asked. Touya adds, Hawks just needs to open his mouth and say something with substance, instead of playing the considerate fool. Not like anyone even buys into that. Rika and Rumi sigh in unison.
You'd be pretty if you weren't so painfully oblivious.
Batting his eyelashes, Touya coos. Aw, you think I'm pretty? I think you're a witch.
Well, yeah, I am. That's why I'm telling you. Though, kinda impressive, your ability to be so smart and so incredibly dense at the same time cannot be healthy. Seek help.
Touya scoffs. Whatever. Man, I gotta change my door code. I can't keep letting just anybody in here.
Yo, Dobbs!
A new voice calls from behind said door, shoving it open.
Do you get murdered?
Case in point, he mutters darkly. As Hawks comes into view, Toya's scowl deepens. You bringing that khaki crap in my house? Really?
So you're alive.
Hawks tones placidly. With guests. He waves. A more human version of his signature grin flashes at them before it melts so he can glare at Touya.
And you just left a shattered mug outside, likely staining the floor with its contents, for anybody to injure themselves over.
Unimpressed with being assigned such a petty crime, Touya shrugs. You obviously survived. And you cleaned it up, didn't you? Thought so, hero.
I should leave the debris in your bed.
Hawk snaps. Rika watches his wings shiver and pulse in irritation? Probably is what those two idiots would call it. Instead, she teases.
Real familiar with that place, huh?
She thinks that someone with wings and a large balcony should maybe fly into his apartment, not walk down the hallway. Less of a chance of interacting with random fans, especially for such a beloved hero. She thinks walking down the hall increases his interactions with a certain neighbor, however. Touya snorts. As if. Hawks ignores him, turning to look at Rika.
I usually learn folks' names before I let them make inappropriate jokes about me, but it's nice to meet you. Don't you worry, Hawks, she grins. We're gonna be the best of friends.
He double-checks.
You're really friends with that guy?
Rika nods, barely holding back a quip about how this is a room full of in-laws. Hawks heaves a sigh and flatly says, Oh, gee, how fun. The door opens again, this time with a polite call of,
Pardon my intrusion on a... Oh, hi! I'm Kirishima Eijiro, a.k.a. Red Riot.
Rika laughs a bit. Maybe Touya has a point about everyone barging in on him.
Nice to meet you, kid. I'm Chikafuji Rika.
Took you long enough, crappy hair. Kirishima allows his response to be cut off by Bakugo, rolling his eyes and meeting his friend in the kitchen, offering his fist and a sharp-toothed grin. You don't know what I had to bargain with Toga to get her to ask Kurogiri-san to miss me over here. Hawks, as expected, subtly glitches at the teen's remark, but he doesn't say anything. Bakugo was right, though. Rika can see the wheels spinning in his head. It's a good thing her on-site supervisor was so chill about letting us talk in private. Scarface, I take it back. Bakugo snarls. You had one job. If it was a job, then you should have paid me, Baku jerk. Touya glances at Kirishima, amused. Red said he had it handled. You went to see Crazy for something else, didn't you? Several voices begin speaking at once, interrogating and assuming and teasing and denying. Rika catches something about someone with raccoon eyes before Rumi makes a quiet, huh, sound and throws a couch pillow at Hawks. He catches it without looking at her, but obligingly recognizes the demand for attention, turning to see Rumi frown. I just realized you saw that broken mug outside and didn't freak out. Touya frowns too. Why would he? Everything's fine. Keigo didn't know that, though. Hawks rolled his eyes. Actually, I did. I already know nothing serious happened, Rooms.
But, yeah, there were no scorch marks or anything. But the broken mug is incriminating enough alone.
Rika tries puzzling it out.
How were you so sure?
Simply, he explains, Dabi didn't break the feather I gave him for emergencies. Rumi narrows her eyes, sitting upright on the couch. What if he just couldn't get to it in time? Unlikely, but even if that had been the case, I'd still know. Since I wear it around my neck, Touya affirms. Everyone watches in silence as he pulls a chain from under his collar with not one, but two of Hawk's signature red feathers on the end. There's no question that they're real. Touya would never be caught in hero merch, let alone his neighbor's knockoff hero merch. As if anyone here doesn't even know that much, Hawks unequivocally proves the feathers' validity by dancing the plumes in the air. You know how he can sense stuff through them? I got one to break and the other so he can get to me. Touya finishes explaining, and like this, they're always accessible. Kirishima recovers first, perhaps because he doesn't realize how dire things are. That's so cool! I didn't know your feathers were so versatile! He turns to his peer, wondering, how come Todoroki never showed this to us? Oh, I only gave them to this jerk. Hawks points at Touya, the jerk in question, who merely holds up a peace sign as he tucks the feathers back away. And can Rika just say, wow, she hates it here. Kirishima, admirably quick to adjust, grabs Bakugo's arm. It's probably to stop the other teen from vocalizing any of the thoughts playing out across his disgusted sneer. Oh? Why's that? Touya frowns at them, finally realizing that they are having a moment, even if he doesn't quite understand why. The others can call out indiscriminately for emergency services, but I can't. Oh, yeah, because Hawks is the only hero Touya knows. And of course, there are no villains or criminals or even civilians who would come to his aid. Rika will give them the fact that Hawks is the fastest hero, but still. Touya wearing his feathers around his neck, over his heart, that's something else. Usually I can protect myself, obviously, but I can't rely on my quirk completely. It draws too much attention, and it isn't very user-friendly. He waves his scarred hand to gesture with a sardonic grin. This is our safety compromise. The feathers are for emergencies, and Birdie only checks them on my signal. Rika meets Rumi's eyes and lets her take the lead. So you two made a safety compromise? Yep, Keigo draws. It came up a while back. Calmly, Rika remarks.
Oh, so it was a while ago. Nothing forced your hand in this, right?
No, it just sort of came up organically. And you never felt the need to let the rest of us know? Rumi checks. The idiots simultaneously wonder, why would we?
No reason,
Rika de-escalates. Rumi hops off the couch to cool off in the kitchen, searching for a snack.
Anyways, it's a bunch of us here now, so I guess we're a party. Yo, host, you should feed us.
We're not a party. Don't you have a paper to write? Touya scowls, waving the book in his hand, probably to imply that he still needs to finish it. As if Rika has not already given up on that happening today, with the arrival of Hawks. It's fine, though, since her paper's not due for another 3 days. She just needs fuel to do that, Hawks argues. He very transparently just wants a home-cooked meal. A home-cooked meal. Oh, really? Pretty Bird just offered to order in for us. Rugrats, say thanks, Dabi announces. Not many places deliver here, and they're all so greasy. Bad for your skin and, concentration. Hawks counters, lying through his teeth. You're full of crap, Touya dismisses. And also money, so spend it. Hot stuff, come on. I'll try you some tea on Gang Orca for dinner tonight. He bargains. Tuning them out, Rika joins the others in the kitchen to pour herself a new mug of iced tea.
They're in their own little world right now, right?
Yep. Rumi pops the pea, at a more normal volume than Rika's almost whisper. Sure are. Happens every time. They say they can't stand each other, but they're obviously obsessed. They're like this all the time, Bakugo adds, with the countenance of a man who has been to war. This one's pretty mild. Oh, like heck, Touya snaps. Kei, the last time I trusted you to pick up food for dinner, you tried to poison me.
Well, excuse me, a Japanese man, for getting fresh fish from a Japanese market for another Japanese man to cook for dinner. He threw his hands up. How was I supposed to know you don't like fish?
Because everyone knows that most seafood is questionable at best, he defends. Fish is disgusting, and I had to eat so much of it as a child that...
See, this kind of thing I would have learned during one of our heart-to-hearts if you weren't such a little baby that has to make everything a competition.
That was you, bird brain. You're the one that said...
Huh.
Rika watches their back and forth, noting how they've ended up side by side before the couch, talking emphatically with their hands.
It's kind of mesmerizing. Mildly infuriating, but mesmerizing.
Kirishima nods.
Yeah, I've never gotten to see them in action. Hawks is kind of oblivious too, huh? I cannot wait till we get to bully them about this.
Rika grins.
The link to the original work is in the description. Please drop a kudos for the author, as well as a link to the Stories by the Fire Discord server if you want to come chatter. I do welcome constructive criticism in regards to my videos, as well as comments on the stories itself. As we wrap up the video, Spitfire has a message for you.
Like the video to support Wildfire. Subscribe to Stories by the Fire to find the rest of her videos. Hit the bell so you are notified when her next video comes up. Have a good day or night. Bye-bye.